One of the big strengths of the movie is Jane's performance. She's visceral and dramatic, but never over the top. And I wonder if you could just talk about how you work with her to modulate her performance.
Well, she's amazing. I mean, it's you know, as a director, that's what you always hope, to get an actor that will give you an easy job, and that's definitely what she did, because I mean, she's a super smart girl, and she's super talented, but also like she's completely unashamed in a way. Like she didn't, you know, she could walk on set and start doing all kind of crazy stuff, and I will enjoy seeing her doing it. And so basically, what I'm saying is that she wasn't afraid of failing, right? Which, you know, and horror is like she always said, is like a bit like comedy. Like you step on the stage, you try to be funny. If you try to be funny and you fail right away, you get judged, right? Like people doesn't laugh, and they're not laughing. And with horror, it's the same. Like trying to be scary, it could be so embarrassing if you're trying to play a monster and everybody goes like, "What is she doing?" So, but she was completely free, and she tried all kind of things, and that's why we kind of find a way to have, you know, give life to her character. But she's awesome, and I think that was the key, that she wasn't afraid to bring a lot of things to the table, try a lot of things on set. So to really then on the editing room, you sit down and you choose the best, and you create a character. So it was a blast working with her.
Oh, good.
How did you actually get attached to Evil Dead, the writing and directing? Was it you going to Sam and Rob, or did they come to you?
It's quite a insane story, but I made a short back in Uruguay with $300, put it online, and 10 days later I was meeting Sam. I was flying to LA and meeting them, and I got offered a deal to make a movie based on the short, and then that developed a relationship with Sam, and I think 1 month after that, Sam asked me if I would do Evil Dead. But it came from him. They wanted to do it, and all they had was the movie. They said, like, we have a movie, we can watch it. I thought, I know the movie. And and they said, like, so what's your thought? And we started playing with ideas to what a 2013 version of the film would be. And we came up with the story, and we wrote it with one of my best friends back home. We wrote a lot of things together in the past, and that was the story. I think at some point Diablo Cody came in to do a dialogue pass that I wanted an American writer to do, and she didn't get credit at the end of the movie because we didn't use enough, you know, those WGA things. But that was it. That was Sam asking us. We gave him a story. He said yes. We wrote the script, and they loved it, and we shoot it.
As you said, there are a lot of subtle nods to the original franchise, original trilogy throughout Evil Dead. In the trailer, there's the "we're gonna get you" moment, but that didn't even make it into the final cut. Did you feel that was too on the nose? And if so, where was
Why
it?
I took it out of the cut? I think I took it out of the film because there's already a lullaby in the film, right? The one that she sings to her brother. And at the beginning of the movie, David asked her, like, no, she asked David, what was that lullaby Mom used to sing to us? And David pretends he doesn't remember, he doesn't want to talk about the subject. And then later on in the movie, when he's about to burn her, she starts singing that song, and he pulls back. And so I thought that was already a lullaby. And then if she was going to be singing, that's a lullaby at the end of the day, that we're going to get you kind of thing. And so I felt like it was repetitive, and it was going to be 2 lullabies. And so I thought, like, no, let's just kill it.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
Great for the trailer.
It worked great, yeah, because usually the trailers, they build it based on that first long cut that you do. So sometimes you end up pulling back from some things. But yeah, it worked. I was amazing. That's some of the things that drive me crazy, because there was some of those ideas that I thought, like, this is never going to work with a new audience. I love it, and we all do, because we saw the originals. Like, saying the words out of the book that are, like, kind of funny, cheesy, you know, made-up words. And you think, like, that's never going to be scary. And it ended up working amazingly, and those are the things that surprise me every day. Like how those old school things still works. Right?
Plus, you got your hands in a lot of it, and a lot of shots. Great hand.
Yeah, that's my thank you. Great head actor.
On the subject of nods to the original, obviously we have the cameo in the end credits, I was just wondering, like, what was the development of that? I mean, it's
The development.
This development for a shot.
Yeah, there wasn't much development. It was basically, I think I wanted to have Bruce in the movie. That was, something I was pushing for, and they were all kind of, nah, like, this is your version of the movie. This is your movie. Because at first I was like, okay, great, let's get Ted Raimi, let's get Bruce, let's put everybody in the film. And they were right to say, like, look, no, that's our movies. You do your own. You bring your friends and put them in the movie, right? Which makes sense. And I was like, you know what, you're right. So I kind of pulled back from it at some point. But then and because I did that, that's when we started to impress about the film. And Bruce and I were saying, they were asking, is there a cameo? And there wasn't. So we were saying, like, no. And then I realized we got to a point where everybody was convinced there's no cameo. They were just bitching about it. There's no cameo. How come Bruce is not in the movie? And that's when I thought, like, oh, great, this is exactly what I want. Like, for me, a cameo is like what those extra tracks in the CDs used to be, remember? The track 11? That suddenly, you think the record is over and suddenly a new song playing. There's a new song in the record. You call your friends and tell. That was magic back then. It exists. Internet killed all that. And now we all know what is there and I'll just look for it. And then suddenly the cameo is like, give me the fucking cameo. And like, you know what, I'm not going to give you a cameo. There's no cameo. So, because it has to work as a surprise for me. Otherwise it doesn't, now we all wait for it. You watch a Marvel movie, you just wait for the cameo to show up and it's better be good. And it used to be just a surprise that you were grateful that it was there, right? So for me, people were waiting for it, there was no point to do it. So when we realized that we did a good job to not lie, because there was no cameo and everybody was convinced there was none, while we were working on the sound and we were spending a lot of time with Bruce, was like, you know what, we should let everybody know that the character of Ash exists in this universe and is somewhere and he knows what's going on. And I came up with the idea of what ended up being in film, and we shot it with my kind of like that one, and we put it there. I stole some lamps from the offices and I light it up, and we did it in a very simple way. But for me, it was so important that he was there. And then, unfortunately, because it was South by Southwest, people started saying, like, oh, stay till the end. Oh. And then but some people didn't know. I was in a lot of screenings, and I could see people running back into the theater, no, it's over. And people missing the cameo, and I'd love to see that, because there was a lot of people that didn't know, and that's why we did it. And what it's saying is that Ash exists in that universe, right?
When I saw it, somebody didn't get it. They just said, "Oh, it's the guy from Bird Notice." So.
Good, yeah.
One more question. Anybody we haven't heard from? You get it.
All right. To that point of Ash existing in this particular world, being out there somewhere, for the next film or even the next series of films, people have been talking about Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness 2, whatever you want to call it. Is there room, in your opinion, for some crossover? Like, can Jane be walking down that road and then up pulls Ash? Or I even heard there was a variation of a scene like that.
There was supposed to be a scene like that at some point, but then Bruce couldn't shoot it, and so we ended up shooting a version to see if we can bring Bruce back later, but we never use it, and also because we didn't want to lock ourselves into a story for the second one. We wanted to make sure that maybe on the second one starts with Jane being attacked in the woods and dying. Who knows? But there's definitely a plan of uniting the universe. That's what I think it should happen, and it would be awesome. As long as you would do it in a way that if you haven't seen the originals and you think that's the guy from Bird Notice, great, it works anyways. But if you're familiar with the originals, you will enjoy it in a different way. It will be great. So yeah, definitely there's plans. But right now we're just talking with Sam about it and trying to figure out the best way to tell it, to see where the story goes. The reality today of the horror market usually is that you just repeat the same concept over and over and over and over again with just a new batch of characters, and I wouldn't enjoy directing that film, just throwing the book somewhere else and getting 5 new kids. I like the sequels from the 90s and the 80s when it was actually a sequel and actually follow the story to see where it was going, right? So hopefully we'll manage to do that.
I can see why Sam Raimi was so excited for you to direct. You obviously have a really good vision. Thanks for you coming in, Fede, and of course, thanks On Demand for premiering it already, so it's available on demand right now. Thank you guys for coming in and asking great questions.
Thank you guys.